Hey, what is going on everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be going over the best possible settings in OBS so that way you can achieve the highest quality for when you are live streaming to Twitch, Kick, or even YouTube. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is open up OBS Studios. From here, you're going to come down to the lower right hand side and you're going to select settings. A pop-up menu is going to come and then you're going to select stream. Now this is where we're going to add our streaming services that we're going to be live streaming to. So you're going to come up to the service tab and you can select either YouTube, RT, and PS if you're going to be streaming to YouTube, or you can do Facebook Live if you're streaming to Facebook, and of course you can select Twitch. Now if you're going to be streaming to Kick, then you are going to have to manually add your stream key inside of this box that comes up right here, and then you're going to have to add in your server, which Kick does provide as well. But for the sake of this video, we're going to select Twitch, and then what you want to do if you're streaming to YouTube or Facebook, you should be able to add your account. This just gives OBS a direct link to your Twitch channel, so that way you don't have to add your stream key, and the same things for Facebook and YouTube. Now, what you want to do is you also want to check this box right here that says to ignore streaming service settings recommendations. What this does is that it gives us the option to add more bitrate to our Twitch channel, so that way it can make the picture quality a little bit more clear than what it is if you stick to the 6,000 kilobytes per second. So from here, what we're going to do is come over to the next section, and that's going to be the output tab. Now from here, this is where most of our settings are going to come from, but you want to make sure your output mode is switched from simple to advanced if you don't already have it there. And so you want to make sure you're under the streaming tab, and then we're going to come down to streaming settings. Now from here, we're going to change our audio track, and we're going to have it set to 1, and the Twitch VOD track, you want to make sure that is set to 2. For your audio encoder, you want to make sure you have it set to FFmpeg AAC. And for your video encoder, you want to make sure you have it set to an H.264 graphics card. Now I have mine as an NVIDIA because that's what I have in my computer. Now if you are running an X264, you need to change that because that is your CPU. You don't want to use your CPU. You want to make sure that you are using as less of your CPU's resources as possible. So if you have the option to use an H.264, make sure you're using that. So for our rescale output, we want to make sure that that is disabled. Now moving on to the next section, we're going to go over to the encoder settings, and we want to make sure that our rate control is set to CBR. There is a lot of options here to choose from, but CBR is going to be the best choice for live streaming. And then our bitrate, you want to make sure that is set to 8,000 kilobytes per second. Earlier in the video, under the streaming tab, we did have this little option here where it gave us a maximum bitrate of 6,000 kilobytes. But we checked this box to ignore that because we're going to be giving our Twitch stream a little bit more of a push with better quality. So we want to go ahead and set this to 8,000 kilobytes per second. Don't go any higher than that. If you try to go to like 9,000, 10,000, 11,000, what's going to happen is your Twitch stream is going to show up offline whenever you try to go live. And the same thing can happen for YouTube as well as Facebook or even Kick. So make sure you have your bitrate at no higher than 8,000 kilobytes. For our keyframe interval, we're going to set that to 2. And for our preset, we're going to set this to slowest for the best possible quality. Now, if you're running into a problem where your stream is a little bit laggy, or if you're running into like a little bit of issues, you can always come down and change the quality to P6 for better quality, or for P5 for good quality. But I would not go any lower than P5. Now, for our tuning, we're going to have that set to high quality. And then for the multipass mode, we want to make sure we have this at full resolution. Some computers probably can't handle full resolution, so you can always set it to the quarter resolution as well. For our profile, we want to make sure we set that to high. For the GPU, we're going to leave that at 0. And for the max beat frames, we're going to leave this at 2. Now, moving on to the next section, we're going to come over to the audios tab. And the only thing we're really going to change in this section is just going to be the global audio devices. So for your desktop audio, you want to make sure you have it set for the audio that's going to be coming through so that way you can hear. And so for me, that's my headset. So I'm going to set mine as my wireless gaming headset. Now, if you have yours coming from your computer, you can always set that as well. For your desktop audio too, you want to make sure that's disabled so that way you don't have any kind of echoes coming through your stream. For your mic, you want to make sure that you obviously set your microphone. So if you have an external microphone, like how I have the Beacon mic, then you want to go ahead and set that. If you have a Blue Yeti, if you have a Shure mic, you go ahead and set those as well. But if you are using a microphone from your headset, then you can always select your headset again. So that way it will come through there and your chat can hear you. Make sure everything else is disabled in this section and then you are good to go. So from here, we're going to come over to the videos tab. So this is basically going to be about this right here. And what you're going to want to do is set your base canvas to 1920 by 1080. Your output scale resolution also needs to be 1920 by 1080. For your downscale filter, have it set to no downscaling required, because if you have that set, that's going to downscale your picture quality and you don't want that. Now for me, I have my FPS set to 60, but there are some computers and there are some systems that can run it at 60 frames per second. So you can always change it to 30 FPS per second until you can get some better software to go up to 60. If you are running on a console and your computer doesn't support 60 frames per second, you can always get a graphics card and you can always bump it up to 60 frames per second. Now, you can go ahead and skip the hotkey section unless you want that. If you really want the hotkeys, and you can go ahead and you can set your hotkeys. I have a Stream Deck, so I don't need the hotkeys. But you can always go ahead and select one of these to just transition your different scenes a whole lot easier if you decide you want to do that. Now you can skip the accessibility section as well unless you absolutely need to change anything, but you don't really have to change this. And for advanced, you don't really have to change anything in here as well. You want to make sure that your process priority is set to normal. Your video, obviously I can't change these, but you can have it set to direct 3D 11, the NV12 for your color format, your color space, make sure it's set to Rec 709, and color range is set to limited. Mine was already set to this as default, so I didn't have to change anything. For your recording, obviously just leave this as it is. For your stream delay, if you have to add a stream delay for whatever reason, let's say for example somebody is probably stream sniping you, you can always come in here, you can always enable it, and you can always change it so that way there's a small delay in your stream, and then if you can always disable it if you need to. For the automatically reconnect, obviously make sure this stays enabled. What this does is basically, let's say for example your stream ends up disconnecting for a couple seconds, then what this will do is that this will try to reconnect your OBS to your stream, so it will let your chat know that you're trying to reconnect and just to hold on a few seconds. Everything else you can just leave as default, and that's basically it. Now I do hope that you've learned something from this video, and I hope that your streaming has now leveled up to its peak. And so if you made it to the end of this video, make sure you give this a big fat thumbs up. Make sure you guys go on ahead and subscribe, as well as turning on post notifications so that way you do not miss a single video that gets posted up onto this channel. Also, I do stream on Twitch as well at Trey Rashad. The link will be in the description below, so that way you guys can go ahead and just hit that follow button. And if you guys just want to come hang out with the community, my Discord will also be in there below. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for hanging out, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out, guys.